Welcome back, everybody, to Niners Now, and thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. I'm your host, Brady Grustas, at GrustasBrady on X. You can follow me there. And today we are shifting focus from free agency to the draft. Free agency, of course, is winding down. We're a little over a week from the beginning, which, crazy how quick free agency is. But it is basically over at this point. Not a ton of high-profile guys remaining, which means that we are almost into my very favorite part of the NFL offseason, which is the draft. We've got two mid-round prospects to cover today that I think could be pretty good fits for San Francisco. And of course, we'll talk about them in this episode. And of course, stick around until later in the show because I promised you all a mock draft, and today I am here to deliver. We've got my third mock draft of the year coming live in this episode. But before we get into it, go ahead and subscribe down below. Leave a like, leave a comment. Once again, huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the video. Let's get right into it. First player profile. We've got offensive line help. All of you have been clamoring for it. Offensive line, offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. And while I do understand, and I want to say, listen, you're probably underrating the 49ers offensive line a bit. I do think that they could still certainly use a left guard as soon as this season. And here's a guy who I think certainly could play that role. Jennings Dunker, guard out of Iowa. Now you'll notice I labeled him a guard. He played tackle at Iowa for the Hawkeyes. Spoiler, don't think he's a tackle at the NFL level. I want to go over some pros for Jennings Dunker, though. He's got a nice quick kick slide. He's got choppy feet, but, he gets to his landmarks absolutely in pass protection. He generates really nice push in the run game. He's patient with his hands in pass protection as well. He anchors well against power rushes. I'm largely okay with him in pass protection. His long arms help him recover pretty well once he is beat. And in the run game, like I said, generates good push. He can seal the edge really nicely on those gap runs. He shows a bit of a mean streak sometimes, which I really like. I'm a fan of that. I like mean offensive linemen. Despite some of his deficiencies, which are certainly clear, I think that Jennings Dunker largely does his job, and that's all I can ask for from an offensive lineman. Cons, however, he's got some weird balance issues. I feel like he's on the ground a whole lot. Wonder if that's, because he's lunging or what the deal is. He is inconsistent when he gets to the second level as a blocker. He definitely shows flashes, but I would love to see him be more consistent, put a hat on a hat, hit a guy, as opposed to, letting a linebacker run right by him, right? And some of that ties into, I feel like he struggles moving horizontally a little bit, including as a puller. That is certainly not the strength of his game. And of course, that's something that's usually pretty important for offensive linemen, specifically in the Shanahan scheme. But I think if you move him inside to guard, that'll kind of mitigate that concern for me. Also pretty stiff, which could be a problem at tackle, less of a problem at guard. He doesn't really have the athleticism to cover off a speed rush. His outside shoulder is vulnerable to NFL caliber talent. And again, a lot of these issues are mitigated once you push him inside to guard. Like, I think he can still get caught up by some games and stunts that catch him by surprise, right? But you put him next to a veteran center like Jake Brendel, in between Trent Williams and Jake Brendel. I mean, you got two guys right there who are, certainly seen plenty of NFL games and stunts on the defensive line. So those guys should be able to help him out quite a bit. I think he's certainly a guard at the next level. I like his run blocking quite a bit. I think his pass protection needs a little bit of work. But again, if he slides into guard, love it. I think he is a second-round player, pretty firmly. Late second-round guy, though. I have him as a top 60 player. I think if you get him at any point after pick 45, then that's pretty good value for him. And if you get him outside of round 2, that's a steal, right? I think Dunker is a solid starter. Not sure he's got Pro Bowl potential or anything like that, but he could certainly be maybe like a floor of like an Aaron Banks, maybe a guy who is, maybe not the best, but certainly starting caliber, and starting caliber offensive linemen get paid in the NFL. Now, Aaron Banks, I know, is kind of a, that raises some concerns for 49ers fans. I don't think he plays like Aaron Banks. I'm just saying, like, a kind of guy who will start, even if you don't love him all the time. He will start. He's a starting level player. And, like I said, starting level players get paid. I think Jennings Dunker could certainly be a starting level player in the NFL. So I think if he's there at 58 for the 49ers, pull the trigger, right? I don't mind that at all. Certainly not my favorite prospect in the draft. He's the second lowest one that I've graded so far. And to be fair, haven't graded a ton of prospects. I've done 13 total prospect watches so far, so being number 12 is not exactly a bad thing, especially considering I'm really honing in on the 15 to 75. That's sort of the area that I'm really focusing on. So being number 12 in that area is certainly not a bad thing. I would still take him in the second round at number 58 if he's there. But that is my profile on Jennings Dunker. Let me know what you think of Jennings down below. Got a great name, too, by the way. Great name and a great mullet. He's great name. He's got this long, flowing red hair with this sides shaved. He's magnificent to look at. That's for sure. Do you want to see Jennings Dunker in the red and gold? Let me know. He could reunite with his former teammate Connor Colby. Apparently, they're very close friends. And maybe Jennings Dunker will take his job. We'll see. Next prospect now. We're going to switch to the defensive side of the ball. We're going to stick with the trenches, though. I want to talk Romello Height, edge rusher from Texas Tech. Height is a really interesting player, man. He's got a very fun spin move, a very fun bag of tricks, if you will. I like his spin move. He's got, a rip move. He uses his swipe sometimes. He's got some nice hand usage. His main weapon, though, his speed rush, right? That is what he builds his game off. He uses that speed to attack the outside corner of offensive linemen, and he builds all his counter moves off of that speed rush, right? Like the spin, like the rip, like the swipe. He uses all of these. He sets you up with the speed to the outside corner and then uses those counters and really affects the quarterback. And all of those moves affect the quarterback, right? He's never just doing something to set it up. Any move that he does could certainly get some pressure on the QB. He's very fast, certainly pretty quick as well. Don't think it's his best trait, but, pretty quick and very fast. He's got decent bend at the hips and the ankles, right? But I think his best trait is he's got really nice dip. He can get under a tackle's shoulders really well, gets him some really great leverage. So if he can hit the outside shoulder, dip his own body, get underneath that outside shoulder, it's over for offensive linemen. Even if it's not a sack, I saw tons of pressures using that outside speed rush. He's got a weird body type. He is very small. We'll talk about that in a second, weight-wise. But he's lanky, right? He's got 32 and a half inch arms, I should say. They look longer. They kind of he's got long arms and long legs, right? He's a very lanky looking player. Maybe it's the full sleeves that he wears. That could be it as well. But lanky guy, really quick first step. Remember those long legs? They eat up space really quickly off the line. There's some times where, if he wants to, right? Every player sometimes will have to read options and stuff like that, especially in college. But if Romello Height is straight up just rushing the passer, he takes one step and he's basically into the offensive lineman's chest already. He can get there in a hurry. And he's got decent enough arm length where he's not, getting swallowed up or anything like that, right? He can get into the chest and really do whatever he wants with an offensive lineman's arms. I'm a big fan of that aspect of his game. However, Romello Height is not without his issues. Very light. At his current weight, which is 239 pounds, he is not an NFL player. Romello Height weighs less than me. I just weighed in at 245, man. That can't happen. All right? An NFL edge rusher cannot be lighter than me, all right? Now, I'm a big dude, but that is crazy. You're not going to ask Romello Height to give you any sort of power whatsoever. That is not in his game. If you want a power rusher, do not draft this guy. Not a great run defender at the next level, as you may expect with the role. He's very light, more of a pass rushing focused guy. He'll give you a nice play every once in a while. Sometimes he'll, force the block and set the edge nicely. Sometimes he'll shoot into the backfield and make a nice tackle for loss. but nothing special, right? I would not count on that translating to the NFL level. I think one major issue I saw, maybe not an issue, but one major thing I noticed was that he lines up more as a stand-up edge rusher. That is clearly where he is more comfortable. And the 49ers tend to have their guys put the hand in the dirt in that wide 9, right? Now, we'll see with Raheem Morris. We'll see what Morris likes to do. I mean, he's had plenty of success with guys like James Pierce Jr. and more importantly, Jalen Walker, who really excels as a stand-up edge rusher. So maybe he'll be fine with Romello Height not getting down in the three-point stance, but it's certainly something to note because it bucks the trend that the 49ers stick to with their edge rushers. Not a special athlete all around. I don't think he's some freak, didn't blow up the combine or anything like that. And he misses more tackles than you would like. Not a ton, but it's just like there's a couple where it's like, all right, come on, we really should be finishing that, especially since you're sort of a lankier guy. So Romello Height, to me, very clear what his role is, right? He is a speed rusher off the edge, wide 9. You put him out there on an island. You give him a clear angle at the offensive tackle's outside shoulder, and you say, go get the quarterback, right? I think he can certainly do that, and I think that's exactly what the 49ers need. I would take Height in the 3rd round, probably top 100 player, like maybe early 4th would be great value for Romello Height. He's also an older prospect, right? So not a superb athlete, a little bit older, but he's plenty refined, and I think he's got enough burst and enough juice off the edge to really make an impact at the next level. So those are my 2 player profiles for today. I got Jennings Dunker as a top 60 player and Romello Height as a top 100 player. These are the 2 lowest graded players that I have on my board. But again, this is just because I've really been focusing on the 1st and 2nd round guys as of late. Haven't gotten to a ton of the true mid-round players. I would be happy with Jennings Dunker in the 2nd. I would be happy with Romello Height after pick 75, you know what I mean? These are good players. These are players that I want on the 49ers. But let me know what you think. Would you rather the 49ers get Jennings Dunker or Romello Height? Let me know down below in the comments section. Now, before we get on to my mock draft, I want to give you a quick word from our sponsor, Underdog. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at Celtics and Grizzlies, speaking of Jason Tatum, and I'm going to select Jalen Wells for higher than 16.5 points and Jason Tatum for higher than 23.5 points. Download the app today and use promo code FOOTBALLFAN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code FOOTBALLFAN. Underdog. Make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text from 467-369.
All right, everybody. It is time for my mock draft number 3, okay? We traded the 3rd round pick for Osa Odigizua since the last time. I haven't done a mock draft since free agency started, so here is your post-free agency mock draft, if you will. I think it's important to remember we don't have to force need, right? I think there are some needs still on the 49ers, but you don't have to force need. You can take the best player available. You can be smart and proactive with the board. You can move around. I will be making a trade in this mock draft, just as a spoiler. And let's get right into it. I'm excited. I'm excited to get moving here. Let's kick it off with round number 1. With the 27th overall pick, the 49ers are trading back. I know I've been team trade back this entire off season, right? And I'm going to stick to it. I think if you can get this offer that I got from the New England Patriots, you should absolutely accept it. The 49ers trade pick 27 to the New England Patriots for pick 31 in the 1st round. So they move back a couple of spots and they pick up a 3rd round pick 95th overall. So why? Why would you trade back? Well, obviously you want more draft capital, right? But there's a little more thought into it. Sitting there at 27, there were 5 players that I would have liked to draft in the first round, right? Omar Cooper Jr. was there, Blake Miller, Caden Proctor, Cassius Howell, and Casey Concepcion. That's 5 guys. So if I move from 27 back to 31, mathematically, at least one of those guys is still going to be on the board. And I would have been comfortable taking any of those guys at 27. So if I get to move back to 31, guaranteed get one of those guys, and I pick up a 3rd round pick, that's just good business. That's just good business. You know what I mean? So I did do that. I moved back with New England. They took Omar Cooper Jr. in the first round, which kind of stings. Kind of stings, right? I love Omar Cooper Jr. But I moved back to 31, and I did get one of the guys I wanted. Wide receiver Casey Concepcion out of Texas A&M. We talked about him earlier on the channel in one of the previous prospect profiles. If you missed it, Concepcion, super explosive, really fast, field stretching Z receiver, right? He has a dog mentality. He's thicker than most deep threat archetypes. He's got some heft to him, and he is untouchable with the ball in his hands. Absolutely sick, explosive yards after catch receiver. He would also be the 3rd Texas A&M alumni in the 49ers receiver room, joining Mike Evans and Christian Kirk. The 49ers love those Aggie receivers. Wonder if KC will join them in real life. Some news here about Casey Concepcion. He underwent a minor knee scope surgery this week, but all the reporting is that he will be 100% by rookie minicamp. So I love Casey Concepcion. Trading back and still getting him, I think, is a great haul. Welcome to the 49ers, Casey Concepcion. With the 2nd round pick, 58th overall, I'm going to take guard Jennings Dunker out of Iowa. I just talked about him earlier in the show, in the prospect profile, and he was there. He was there at 58. Probably going to be a bit of a project player, right? Certainly not ready-made out of the box, but he's got a great frame. He's 6'5", 319 pounds with some long arms, and he's got the power required to move inside. So I think I'm willing to take that chance if I'm the 49ers. Jennings Dunker in the 2nd round. So now, with the 3rd round pick that we picked up from the Patriots, 95th overall, I'm going to take Romello Height, edge rusher out of Texas Tech, right? The other guy we talked about earlier in the prospect profiles. Can you tell why I chose those 2 players for this video? We just talked about him, right? He's a perfect fit for that Bryce Huff role. You have him come in on 3rd and longs. You say, all right, Romello, you line up all the way over there and just beat your guy. Whether it's an offensive lineman or a tight end, just beat him and affect the quarterback. I think Romello Height can do that, and I think that's exactly what the Niners need. Height would be a sweet rotational player on this defensive line. Now let's get into the 4th round. We've got 4 4th-round picks to go over. I did not trade any of these. I sticked and picked at every single one. First selection, though, it's going to be tight end Dallin Bentley out of Utah. Bentley is a project, but he's one that I really like. He's got a perfect body type at tight end. 6'4", 253 pounds with long arms, over 33-inch arms. It's very long. He's got a nice wingspan. He's certainly big enough to play in line. Now, I think his blocking needs a lot of work, right? He is sort of just an effort blocker right now, and he sort of skates by knowing that his size will get him out of some trouble. But I think at the NFL level, the technique's going to need to be improved. However, I do think he's got some sneaky athleticism. He's got some nice hands, really large catch radius. I think he's a pretty fun project at tight end and one that I would like to see the 49ers take on, considering that Luke Farrell will be a pending free agent. George Kittle's getting up there in age. You bring Jake Tunges back, but maybe Dallin Bentley can be a nice 3rd tight end in the near future and maybe a number 1 in the distant future. With the next 4th-round pick, 133rd overall, I'm taking running back Roman Hemby out of Indiana. Don't kill me, please. I can already see you guys throwing tomatoes at your screen. I took a running back in the mid-rounds. I'm no better than Kyle Shanahan. I understand. But this selection fills 2 of my philosophies, right? Draft good football players, and this year, Draft Indiana players. They won the national championship. They were the best team in the entire country all year long. And that's for a reason, right? There's plenty of overlap in my two philosophies here. And Hemby's a good player, man. He is a big, bruising zone scheme runner who bounces off of tackles, and he will be a fine pass catcher in the NFL as well. Could be sort of a Brian Robinson Jr. upgrade, right? He is great in short yardage situations. He's good enough as a pass catcher that you can have him out there and third down. I think he's great. He's a good fit. You got to prep for life after Christian McCaffrey, right? And that involves taking multiple dart throws at running back. Jordan James is one dart throw already on the team. I like Jordan James, but if he doesn't work out, take another dart throw, right? Roman Hemby could be another member of this 49ers backfield long term. I think he could be a good role player at bare minimum in the NFL. Next pick now. 138th overall. We're going to wrap up the last two picks in the 49ers draft class as of right now are two back-to-back fourth rounders at 138 and 139. So at 138, I'm going to go back to defense. Linebacker Caleb Elarms-Orr from TCU. Crazy name. Cool one, though. Elarms-Orr blew up the combine. This was ridiculous testing for a linebacker. 4.47 40-yard dash. Great time. 40-inch vertical leap. 10-foot 4-inch broad jump. Awesome marks. Very explosive player. He's another one of these freaky, athletic TCU linebackers that the 49ers just fall in love with, right? D. Winters, sort of a similar archetype. Garrett Wallow. And now Caleb Elarms-Orr. Caleb Elarms-Orr really kind of reminds me of D. Winters, but bigger, right? He's a bigger D. Winters. He's got ridiculous range. He's got ridiculous explosiveness and some really good violence off that second level. However, I do think he needs plenty of development, right? He's got all the athletic tools, but he needs some work understanding mental processing, taking on better angles, improving in coverage. From the neck up, that's where he needs to improve, but he's got all the traits that you look for in a linebacker. If Caleb Elarms-Orr works out, then, maybe you move off of D. Winters. Maybe you move off of Trey Greenlaw after his one-year deal. Really intrigued with Caleb Elarms-Orr. Would love to see him in San Francisco. And now the final pick, 139th overall. I'm going with the safety, Lewis Moore out of Indiana. Remember, draft Indiana players. Draft Indiana players. And we're going to do so here with our final pick in the mock draft. Lewis Moore had 6 interceptions this past season. Really nice year from him. He's a ball hawk who always finds himself around the football. Very smart player with good coverage instincts. He's developed. He is developed. This guy gets it. He's got everything that you want from the neck up, right? Kind of the opposite of a Caleb Elarms-Orr, right? He understands the game. He's got a nice, mental processor. He tackles really well. He takes good angles. He's a good zone coverage player. He's really smart. However, opposite of Caleb Elarms-Orr, Lewis Moore he's a pretty average athlete, right? He's not going to wow you with his athletic numbers. He plays, I think, a little better than he tests, but he didn't test very well at all. And he's going to be 25 years old heading into his rookie season. So his ceiling could definitely be capped. And I think that's part of why he's falling all the way to the late 4th round. However, I do like Lewis Moore. I think he brings something that the 49ers don't have, which is just a guy who can keep a cool head on the back end and a good tackler as well. So that's the draft, folks. We got Casey Concepcion in round 1, Jennings Dunker in round 2, Romello Height in round 3, and then in round 4, the quartet, Dallin Bentley, Roman Hemby, Caleb Elarms-Orr, and Lewis Moore. What did you think of my mock draft? What is your favorite pick? What's your least favorite pick? Let me know down below in the comments section. And speaking of the comments section, it's time for the return. I'm going to go over your comments, give my thoughts and opinions. Thanks to everybody who comments. You guys have been killing it with the comments lately. I really appreciate it. It means a ton, helps out the video a lot. I read every single comment. If you would like to be featured in the comment section, all you got to do is leave a comment. The more you leave, the more likely you are to be featured. Special thanks to the 3 that I have featured in this video. First comment now from Accord Driven. I 100% agree about Joey Bosa in regards to salary. Anything close to $10 million is too much for him at this point. Something around $7, maybe $8 million a year with a $3 to $5 million cap hit all day. Let's go Niners. If the Niners do sign Joey Bosa, I'm sure it will look something like this. Even if the total number is close to a $10 or a $12 million figure, I think it's going to be a really low cap hit, maybe some void years to spread out the money. We've seen this with every single deal that is coming this offseason, right? The initial number is reported, and then we see the official contract details, and the cap hit is minuscule in comparison. I think it's very realistic. We'll see if Joey is all right taking a pay cut, however. I think that could be part of why he is not already a 49er. Next comment from Robert. I think the Kirk signing was huge. It's a good move and great value. We're looking pretty good. The Joey Bosa signing should get done because he's older, but he played most of the games and had 5 sacks and 5 forced fumbles, which is what we need, turnovers. If we do get a veteran safety, that would potentially patch up the last hole on the defense, even though I'm hoping Morris can bring the best out of the safeties that we have. First of all, Robert, good point about Bosa. Turnovers are something the Niners severely lacked last year. Forced fumbles, bit of a fluky stat. There is a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of variance from year to year, but 5 forced fumbles is also a ton. And that's not all luck. You know what I mean? Joey Bosa certainly brings a good skill set there. And I do agree about the safeties. I really hope Raheem Morris sort of fixes up that position and brings some promise out of our young guys there, because it was really a disaster last year. And I think all 3 of those players we have back there are talented, but for whatever reason, none of them put it together last year really at all. So hopefully Morris can fix that. Last comment now from Toussaint. Is it possible to pick up David Njoku to fill in for George Kittle when he rehabs? And would that be a move that can be made under the cap? Well, it's certainly possible. The tight end market has been weird. The younger guys are making tons of money. The new New York Giant, Isaiah Likely, new commander, Chig Okonkwo, those guys are making tons of money, but the older guys aren't getting any love whatsoever. I mean, Dallas Goedert is heading back to the Eagles. 1 year, $7 million. That is like nothing for a player like Dallas Goedert. And then David Njoku is still unsigned. You know what I mean? I think I'd rather go get a young tight end, like maybe a Dallin Bentley, than David Njoku. But that's partially because George Kittle has made it clear that he's coming back this season, and potentially even for week 1. But, we will have to see Achilles rehab. You never want to rush it. So maybe the 49ers do make a veteran addition at tight end. So that's all for today, folks. What did you think of my mock draft? Who's your favorite pick? And would you rather the Niners draft Jennings Dunker in round 2 or Romello Height in round 3? Let me know in the comments. Let me know down below if you enjoyed this episode. Leave a comment, leave a like, and let me know if there's any topics that you would like to see me cover. Thank you all for watching, and subscribe for 49ers videos 5 days a week. I'm Brady Grustas, @GrustasBrady on X. This has been Niners Now, and I'll see you tomorrow.